Good Tuesday morning to you. I wanted to share with you a little conversation I had this past week while I was out away from the office. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were just talking over some of the things that have been going on in the world for the past year. And the friend of mine he's a Christian, very strong in his faith. But through the conversation, I realized that his faith had maybe started to shake a little bit. He kept constantly talking about God is not answering our prayers. Is not answering our prayers. And I don't know about you, but there's been times in my life where it's felt like God isn't answering our prayer. And we kind of struggle with that when it doesn't seem like he's answering. We may start to doubt. And it's when in those doubts when Satan can creep in and really kind of bolster up even more doubts in our hearts. And the other day when we were in church in one of our scripture readings, the disciples were struggling casting out a demon from a young boy. And so the father brought the boy to Jesus, and Jesus was able to cast out the demon from the young boy. And the disciples were dismayed, like, what is going on? Why were we not able to cast out that demon? And Jesus' response was, some demons, to cast them out, you just need to pray. And the scripture is full of verses that talk about prayer and why we should pray and how we should pray. And Jesus also reminds us in John 16 that this world isn't perfect, and in this world we're going to experience trouble. And I would say that we are experiencing great troubles in our world right now. But now is not the time to be shaking in our faith, because God's plan is perfect and it will come to fruition. We just don't understand what's going on right now. So the best and most powerful tool that we have in the fight that we are in right now is prayer. And Paul tells us, we should be praying at all times in all circumstances. God hears our prayers. He does respond, just not in our timing like we want. We are in a society, a culture of instant gratification. If I want lunch right now and I don't want to make it, I drive down the block and there's a restaurant. And if that doesn't suit me, I drive down another block and there's another one. And if I'm not happy with this coffee house, I go to that coffee house. Everything is instant gratification now. And sometimes God says, no, you need to wait a little bit. I'm still working. I'm still on the throne. But you need to wait. I am doing my will. And not that God's will for us right now is to be in the middle of this pandemic. But in the middle of this pandemic, he is still working. And he's still there with us, even in the midst of a struggle. I have a friend of my wife who is a teacher at Concordia. And that friend is a previous student. She's 21 years old. And in the last 2 weeks has lost her mom, her dad, and now just the other day, on the day of her mother's funeral, she lost her grandmother, all to COVID. And I can't think of any 21-year-old or even most adults that losing that many close family members at one time wouldn't cause them to doubt a little bit. But this young lady is so strong in her faith that she says, God, I don't understand why this is happening, but I know that you have a plan. And I know this hurts, but I know you're there. You love me, and you're going to carry me through this. Help me to see what you have for me. I think that is just very profound from a 21-year-old. And it reminded me of how even in the midst of maybe difficulties and struggles I may be experiencing, I need to use the tool that God has given me with the most power, and that is prayer. Spend time in prayer with him, because that's how our heart communicates to God. So in the midst of your struggles, and even in the midst of your joys, pray. For God is listening. He will respond. Have a blessed day.